The unit does not need to be removed from the sleeve to access the main board for testing. Begin at the remote thermostat terminal strip. Using a voltmeter set to AC volts, check for 24 volts AC between terminals R and C. This is the supply voltage to the remote wall thermostat from the transformer. If 24 volts AC is not present, see page 34 of the service guide on this CD for a flowchart of diagnostic steps. Use a multimeter capable of testing AC amperage and configure it appropriately to a minimum of a 10 amp setting. Connecting R to GL will activate the relay which powers the indoor fan at low speed. Connecting R to GH will activate the relay which powers the indoor fan at high speed. The next test will operate the cooling and heating modes. The compressor and the resistance heater relays will not activate unless the fan relays are activated. Use a jumper between R and GH to perform this next test. Connecting R to Y will activate the relays which trigger cooling mode. This includes operation of the compressor. Connecting R to W will activate the relays which power the resistance heater. With a clip-on amp probe connected, the technician gets a proper reading to compare with the rating plate. This ensures all heaters are powered on and there is no partial failure of coils. Remove the 4 screws securing the electronics cover. Unplug the line cord and heater harness from the right side. Slide the cover to release it from its locking tabs and remove it. Disconnect the power switch, remove the cover, and then reconnect the power switch for testing purposes. The dip switches are located here on the subboard. See page 8 of the service guide for a complete description of each dip switch and its function. To check the resistance of the heaters, remove this black wire from the relay for testing. Connect this black wire to the black wire of the meter for resistance checking. Unplug the heater connector from the right side and test from each wire for resistance. Refer to the mini manual or service guide for the proper readings of the model being tested. Also check resistances between the 3 wires. Read from each wire back to the other 2. The reading will be the sum of the 2 resistances for those heaters. Now replace all connectors to their original location. Compressor windings can also be checked from the main board. Before testing the compressor circuit, the capacitor must be discharged. Use only approved insulated tools to perform this procedure. Allowed discharge indicates an open path in the compressor circuit. Reading from red to white at the capacitor will check the resistance of both the start and run windings. This reading will be the sum of both winding resistances. Reading from white on the capacitor to the black wire at relay 102 will check the resistance of the start winding. Reading from red at the capacitor to black at relay 102 will check the resistance of the run winding. Check for resistance between each capacitor lead to case ground to ensure the capacitor or the compressor is not shorted. The indoor fan motor can be checked from these 2 connectors at the main board and subboard. Check the resistance of each wire to the other 2. Check the mini manual or service guide for proper readings on the model being tested. Then read from red on the subboard connector to black for the fan harness connector. Replace the sub-harness connector to the board. Remove this white connector from the main board for the outdoor fan motor testing. Check the resistance of each wire to the other two. Check the mini manual or service guide for proper readings on the model being tested. The reversing valve connects to the main board at this connector. Unplug it from the board and check the resistance between the two leads. Check the mini manual or service guide for proper readings on the model being tested. Replace the connector when finished. This concludes this training video.